I'm here to obviously present the vision itself and how it came about. Robert was kind enough to point out that we presented differently to the other agencies. I guess that's because we are different. I did come out of advertising, but proudly try not to be anything to do with it anymore. The Republic of Everyone is a concept as much as an agency, where we sort of went, what would a world look like that we wanted to live in? It would have like fair wages for everybody. People would treat each other kindly. Animals would not get tested on. There would be trees everywhere. Aboriginal, Indigenous people, we wouldn't have to recognise them because they'd be recognised in society, and so on and so forth. So we set up a company that to try and create the world as we would like to see it, and called it the Republic of Everyone, because we figured kind of that would be a place for everybody. We weren't allowed to register the name, mind you, originally, because they said that's political. And I pointed out, hey guys, a republic is where everyone gets a vote, and it's a republic of everyone. So it's like everyone twice. So how's that political? That's kind of everyone. But anyway, different story. Things we have done that you may know, just to put us in context, we put Kate Blanchett and Michael Caton on TV for Pro Price on Pollution, which caused a massive media stink that you guys all might have seen. We created a Greens ad that was for Gruen transfer that actually went nuts and ended up being all over the media in itself as well. We're also the creators of a thing called the Garage Sale Trail, where we try to get people together, all have a garage sale on one big day, and meet each other, get to know each other's neighbours, and recycle their junk essentially, instead of going and buying new stuff. So that's the sort of thing that we do, and it's sort of building to this concept of bringing people together to create positive change that they all enjoy without knowing they're doing it. That sort of led us to the path of this program called the 2020 Vision, which I'll explain to you as we go along. There are obviously other people involved. I must acknowledge, of course, Horticultural Australia, who we work with on this, and of course Robert, who represents the nursery garden industry. So today I'm going to not talk about us anymore. I'm going to talk about this project that we all brought together, which is, of course, no great unveiling because you all know what it's called. It's called the 2020 Vision. Rather than give you the basics, we've got a video that I'm going to play for you, which does give you the basics, and then I'll tell you how we're doing it.
Trees. Where would we be without them? From helping Newton discover gravity to being every dog's best friend, trees are amazing. They cool down our cities and reduce pollution. It's even been proven they make us more productive. So why are they so often overlooked when plans are drawn and concrete is poured? What if every project that made our cities greener was rewarded, and we brought them all together under one vision everyone can get behind? The 2020 Vision. Our mission is to create 20% more green spaces in Australia's urban areas by 2020. Whether you're government, a developer, or into health and sustainability, it's easy to get involved. You simply add your green space project to the map. We give you the tools to measure your impact and help you promote it to the world. More people see your green space, more people are inspired to create their own. A good thing grows and everyone wins. Even the dogs. Do you have the vision? Add your project, become a partner, or be an advocate at 2020vision.com.au.
So hopefully that explains the basic idea. Can we bring together all these green space projects that have sort of happened in isolation around Australia without knowing each other? I guess the thing you got to ask is, how does one do this sort of thing? Well, I would like to discuss Exhibit A, Monica down here, who's given a fantastic explanation of the benefits of green space, which would think you wouldn't need this whole campaign based on all the positive attributes. But the thing about someone like Monica is our realisation from having worked in sustainability with so many different organisations is that Monica, there are a lot of Monicas out there, but unfortunately they all work in different organisations. Probably more at WWF than possibly some of these other organisations, but there are people who believe in this and understand the sorts of things, not quite as well as Monica, but understand the positive benefits of green spaces within development, within councils, within NGOs, within all sorts of organisations. Unfortunately, they have a tendency to sit in these organisations and think, I'm the only person who believes this, so how am I ever going to get my voice heard? The temptation out there is to think that it's kind of councils versus developers and all this sort of thing, and this space wars goes on. However, in our conversations, we found over and over again, it depends entirely on the situation. Sometimes the developers are pushing the councils for more green space, and the councils are going, I don't want it. I don't want to have to water the plants. At other times, the councils are going, we want more green space, and the developers are going to go, no, I can't make money out of that. So you've got this weird situation where you can never quite tell who's on our side and who's kind of not. However, what you can find is that what is consistent is there's always this individual within this organisation who supports us. So we looked at that and said, well, what if you can get a few of those individuals together? If you got them together, they wouldn't feel alone anymore. Suddenly I'd go, oh, maybe I should have a voice because I'm not the only person in the world that feels this way. And of course, when you get lots and lots of people to feel this way, to all start talking to each other, they all suddenly feel empowered and they start telling each other how they do it within their own organizations. They get a voice and their voice gets heard. So that's all fine and well with a bunch of icons, but how do you do it in real life? Well, you go out and find these people. And these are the sort of people that we started with to go out and look for. I won't go through them all individually, but big thanks to every single one of them, Monica, of course, being one of them. But you've got people like the head of sustainability at Brookfield Multiplex. So you've got Kate Faithhorn from the Royal Botanic Gardens, Director of Public Engagement. You obviously Wes Fleming, who I don't think I need to introduce. People from landscape architecture, people from design world, people from NGO world, people from all sorts of property leasing. So it comes across the scale. People from Medibank Private. All sorts of organisations you never would have thought would get involved. So we went out and spoke to these people and said, guys, you believe in this? Come and help us out. And they all said yes, which was very good of them. We did the same with organisations, and we thought, hey, maybe we'll get 20 organisations to come on board. Maybe that'll be as many in Australia who believe in this. We're almost up to 100 organisations, and we only started last November. So this is the thing. There's these sort of wells of movement that are happening out there just waiting for somebody to bring them together, and boom, suddenly 100 people, and a lot of them rang us as soon as they heard about it. Some that I'll point out to you, the sort of organisations, the New South Wales Office of Environment and Heritage is a partner, as is the Government of South Australia, so there's government involved instantly. Royal Botanic Gardens is part of OEH, but they're their own kind of people. City of Melbourne, City of Fremantle, so many other councils, there's government. You've got Brookfield, Fraser's, CBRE, Green Building Council of Australia, so property is represented. Heart Foundation, Medibank, Bupa, LG Super, so health and kind of money, which is always nice too. And then at the bottom you've got Hassel Acom, all the people actually design things. So you can see we've got this cross-discipline of all different organisations that's joined us. In terms of projects, what we ask from people when they join is that they submit a project. It's kind of fine to put your name to something, but what we want to know is, what are you doing? Come on, show us something that you're doing so that we can show everybody else and everyone can learn from each other. So currently we have over 70 projects. I won't go through them, obviously, now that would take all day. If you go to the website, you can take a tour of any of these 70 sites and it'll tell you what's good about it, what's interesting, what's going on. But just as importantly, it'll tell you who the person who is most responsible for this project in the world is. You can go over there and you can click on it and you can go to their LinkedIn and you can contact them and you can say, hey, I've got a project a bit like this. I want to make one. How'd you do it? What were the pitfalls? What were the things I need to know? So people can start to learn from each other and be inspired by each other. I highly recommend that you go and have a look at the LinkedIn group if you want to know how people are conversing. Obviously, all these people are all over Australia, so into the world of digital. It's one thing, we went and saw all these people, which took a long time. Now they're digitally connected through the LinkedIn group. And I'm glad to say they're not just reading, they're talking. You can see that people start to comment on the things we talked about. And these are high-level individuals. More than half are at a C-level or director or senior management level who are talking about this. So we're getting the sort of people who make decisions in this world. They're also starting to post their own things, which is really nice. So we're starting to bring people together and get them to talk about things that matter to them. As you. Oh, congratulations. Well, thank you very much, Catherine. That was a fantastic post. It became our demonstration post. So I recommend you go there. Obviously, LinkedIn doesn't give you those nice, neat URLs. So you can either write down that URL if you choose, or you could just go type it into the search box and it comes up pretty quickly. And have a look what's going on in the LinkedIn group. Back to the website, as you'll see there, we've got partners and projects going all over Australia, and you can kind of explore it by map. But I wanted to show you the sorts of projects we're getting, just to show you the variety of what makes up urban green space projects and what's going to create this 20% change. This is one from City of Melbourne. I like it because it's pretty simple before and after. That's 1 year. 1 year later, they took a little park, and apparently all the local residents were up in arms. They were going to make the streets smaller, and then lo and behold, 1 year later, they've all gone, this is awesome, we've suddenly got a park where we used to have nothing. Community gardens are fantastic too. You've got all these people going, contributing, schools, all these sorts of things. So a lot of those on there, 70 projects. Simple stuff like this. You're probably not going to walk your dog on the side of a freeway, but that's a fantastic space, obviously, to build up green space and all these sorts of things. So a fair few of those sorts of projects, and of course green walls and green roofs. Basically anything that adds greenery to our urban areas is on there, all different types of projects. Probably my favourite is called the Goods Line. Has anyone heard of the Goods Line? So the Goods Line is kind of hard to explain because it's this piece of Sydney that's sort of tucked in the middle of nowhere, but could be amazing. Basically, if you walk to the bottom of the Powerhouse Museum and you look up to the right towards Central, you look up to the ABC building, that used to be a train line down there. And over the years, it's become car parks and bits of nothing, and stuff gets stored there, and it's kind of useless. What's been realised by the SHFA, Sydney Harbour Foreshore Authority, that is a fantastic corridor that could link Central and Broadway all the way through to the new Darling Harbour that's being redone. So that's being turned from essentially what you see there, the monorail's obviously gone, into what you see on the right, which is going to be a big long walkway essentially, which has got Wi-Fi for students, cafes, all sorts of things, and of course lots of green space. So a usable area that adds that to a really kind of derelict area at the moment. What we're doing there that you guys might find interesting is working with University of Technology's Institute of Sustainable Futures to measure the impact that this green space makes. So going through and going, what are the commercial outcomes? How does this add to business in the area? What are the health outcomes? How does this make people kind of give someone somewhere to go? How do people feel who used to kind of have lunch in that area, which is nothing, and now have somewhere to go? What's the heat island effect? It's currently all tarmac, so how does that change? What's the sort of air quality difference around there? So they're studying all these things for us over about an 18-month period. And then, just to make this as open source as we can, they've agreed to let us take their methodology and make it available to anybody with a green space project in Australia. So you can take their methodology and measure your green space and get the same sort of data without paying all the money to help them figure it out. They'll figure it out once, now anyone can use it, which I think you'll agree is a fantastic tool to start bringing out those a consistent way of us showing why green spaces are good. Another study we're doing, one of the most obvious questions on the 2020 vision is how are you going to have 20% more green space if you don't know how much green space you have already? And we kind of took that question at the start and went, that's a very, very good question. We probably should have thought of that ourselves. Anyway, we figured out that if we could work with UTS again, then we could work out a way to do this. So Robert discussed iTree with you, the idea that you can go and map your local area in a Google map and it'll tell you how much green space you have. We're currently in the process of measuring 137 local government areas out of about 550 in Australia. So if you can imagine, a lot of those are regional government areas. We're talking about urban spaces. That's an extremely comprehensive survey of just how green are our cities, and it gives us something to keep measuring and reporting back to help people feel that we're moving in the right direction. We've taken our advocates and we've taken lovely photos of them. We've turned them into adverts. Monica, you haven't got you yet. We'll be coming to see you. And we've asked them to personalise it. You know, what does more trees and plants mean? Well, it means more livable city, better lunch breaks, greener cities, people heal faster. Trying to get out these little individual things of why are people involved in this? Because it's got to come down to a human, personal level for people to care about this stuff. I'm glad to say that the media has been on our side. Thus far, these are a few of the clippings we've had, and just a few. We've been very careful to try and go out to people who really are on the ground with this stuff, who kind of believe in it, and so trying to push different projects and say, hey, what about this one? Is this interesting? And get the story out there. So it's starting to work there, certainly. But also you heard Monica talking about Melbourne and the whole thing that 1 degree can change the tarmac in a city by massive amounts. There's actually a photo that I don't have here. You can sort of see it actually up there. There's no way you're going to be able to read that, but it basically says when it was 38 degrees in Melbourne CBD, it was 69 degrees on the road. So there's a good example of a story about this, and they discussed this for us and actually pitched the vision as something that's trying to change this. So it's really nice to see some of the sort of bigger media getting involved, and also Financial Reviews backed us. They ran a 4-page special on this and featured the goods line and started discussing the business implications of 20% more green space. So we've had some good pickup, which is always nice to see that you're on the right track. Some things that are coming next. So I guess to date what we've managed to do is within about 3 or 4 months assemble a bunch of people who believe, assemble a bunch of projects that are already out there, and then start to socialise it and get people talking, get people looking at different projects. But that's not going to change the world really. all that's doing is sort of aggregating what's already happening. So at the moment we're in the planning phase of, well, what do you do next? How do you actually create new projects that may not have happened without you? How do you create new green spaces that were never going to be there? One of the things that we've identified is that local government really needs support in knowing how. They really need that kind of capacity building. So we're working with OEH, and we've got 2 workshops coming up for local governments where they're all invited to come and share their learnings and learn from the OEH and get all the facts and the figures, but also discuss things with each other, form networks among themselves. That's going to be a 2-part series starting later this year. So that's a really nice way to start capacity building within the world and socializing stuff. Another thing I'm in a position to tell you, I can't tell you all our plans just yet, but we're working with Brookfield Multiplex to green their demountable buildings. This might look like a fairly daggy thing to do until you suddenly realize these demountable buildings, we think of them as temporary workspaces. Yet the people who work in them go from one to another, to another, to another. They're permanent workspaces for the people who work in them. But because each workspace goes up and gets torn down, they get thought of as temporary. So why should they have less good workspaces than anybody else? So we're currently working with Brookfield Multiplex, one of our partners, to go in there, create a plant plan that's very cheap, very easy to achieve. It's biophilically designed by the University of Western Sydney by Professor Tonya Gray, based on productivity and her research on learnings and how people learn better and produce better in these spaces. We're then going to study the air quality, and we're going to study people's productivity before and after, and then put out a plug-and-play plant plan where anybody can simply take that and put in their demountable building. Now, this is still not very sexy, is it? Because we're kind of talking about site sheds on building sites. What makes it interesting to me is when you think, I don't know about you, but when I went to primary school mostly in demountable classrooms. And when I drive past them, they're still there. And I'm a long way out of primary school. So imagine if we could take this, reapply it very, very simply for every classroom in Australia, and make this thing something that increases the learning of our children, you know, and lets them work lets them learn in a space that's better designed for learning, but also for their health. And this is just one example project of what I can show you of the sorts of things we're working with our partners with to take forward that, as I say, wouldn't have otherwise happened without people coming together and without this project. So I need to close the curtains on it there because we have a whole bunch more ideas, but they're not quite ready to release to the media as yet. So at that point, I just want to leave you with one thing. This is something that we, I guess, worked to, but also semi-stumbled upon along the way. You know, we spend our lives trying to create what we would call big impact in this world, and I'm glad to say that the clever people at Stanford have been pondering the same thing, but from a far more theoretical angle. And they came up with this thing just last year called collective impact. And they figured out that if you have a bunch of different people come together with a common agenda, if there is shared measurement, we all agree how we're going to measure something, what change looks like, what does success look like. If you have mutually reinforcing activities, which basically means we all want the same thing, but we approach it from different angles, we're not competing for the same slice of that change. If we have continuous communication, we keep telling people why it's good, we keep telling people how we're going, and we have a backbone of support, i.e. someone like Robert to keep funding a team to go out there and make this happen, then you can create mass global change in this world. So we're only in Australia now, but I think we're all hoping we can take this global and create mass global change in every city in this world. But that's the theory behind it. Hopefully we're on the right track towards creating it. If you'd like to know more, obviously you're not going to add a project. I doubt any of you is currently planning to green a suburb or anything, but if you or your readers are, it's as simple as going to the website and adding a project, and then it'll say, well, you're already a partner. If not, just register here. It can all be done very quickly. It doesn't cost anything for anybody to add anything. It's all about bringing things together. And by doing that, we treat our partners as owners. It's like once you're an advocate or a partner, as far as we're concerned, your opinion is important as ours, and you can help us co-create this thing together. So that's the kind of thinking behind it all. So thank you very much. If you want to know more, there's the website and there's the email address, and our team will get back to you in some way, shape, or form. Or if you would like answers more immediately, this is the lovely Claire Moroney, who is our primary media contact on the whole campaign, who, if you don't go and see her, she will no doubt come and see you before long. So she's been doing a great job of talking to everybody, so you want to go and meet her. And I'll leave you on that slide. But if you want to know more about us, Republic of Everyone, you can go there and check us out. I'm Benny Peacock at Twitter, which is a bad place to get me because I don't have time for Twitter, or Ben at Republic of Everyone. But I'll leave you back on that slide because I think it's more what you need. So thank you very much. Make sure you grab one of these off a chair. It's the little briefing pack. And thank you for your time.